Welcome to Little Birdie Podcast, a unique look at the world of sports betting through the eyes of professional punters. I'm your host, Scoot. I've got the kid, MG, Marky Goodwill.
How are you, Nicky?
Very, very excited today. We've got Top Rope and we've got a couple of special guests. We've got Steve, Ace Previews. He's been sinking his teeth into the French Open. Boy, he mustn't have had much sleep. He'd be burning the candle at both ends. He's pumping out a lot of content. At Ace Previews joins us. And, a regular, starting to become a bit of a regular in office. We sit and watched a game of NBA, and that was very entertaining with him yesterday. Corey Homicide Williams, one of your men, joins us.
Oh, one of our men. We've brought him onto the team together, so... he's a rare individual, we'll put it that way, and certainly lit up a boring Tuesday afternoon yesterday watching some basketball, so it'll be good to see him later in the show.
Yeah, we're going to talk NBL and NBA playoffs, but how's the week in betting? It's unbelievable. The racing's fat. We've got Swan Hill Carnival, we've got Stradbroke, a couple of Group 1s up there. There's AFL, there's NRL, there's Origin, of course, and the French Open. I'm getting dizzy.
The big boxing match that you sat down and watched Sunday with your new social man, Paul.
So Logan Paul, I tell you what, Floyd Mayweather, what a beauty he is. The two of them are just marketing machines.
Yeah, we need to get our next targets, aren't they, to get on board for a little birdie.
I just love
Money Mayweather. That was what a show they put on.
Logan Paul,
no boxing, but great show.
It was pure entertainment. But Logan Paul walks out with a Pokemon card around the necklace, a Charizard. I didn't even know what it was until people were talking about it. And he's rolled out with a live rap band.
Oh, so it was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. The boxing purists would be absolutely hated that. Yeah. But anyway, that's how they make their dollars. So you can't argue with them, I guess. They put on a good show, and it sounds like a lot of people around the world watched it. So it was good hours entertainment.
Now, Melbourne-Brisbane last Friday night was extremely good entertainment. I thought it was one of the matches of the year. It was a tale of two halves. Brisbane were absolutely scintillating out of the blocks for the first half, and I watched it with you, and I looked at the $5 Melbourne and hesitated, didn't take it in play, and got egg all over my face. And, just grabbed myself up and couldn't pull the trigger on the Ds. But, wow, didn't the Ds run them ragged for that last half?
Yeah, it was a game of two halves, really. We were saying during the first half and at halftime how impressive Brisbane were and, where the cracks developing in Melbourne. But, as good as Brisbane played the first half, Melbourne were better in the second half. That was a very good game of football, wasn't it? Like, from start to finish, the skills were high. Melbourne, they'll be flag favourites for much of the year now until they, get to the finals and see how they go from there. But, they were as impressive as they want to be. That was very good.
Tipping there was a few people that were snuck up in the car across the border, and there was a lot of D supporters in the crowd, so there'd be a few bodgy IDs getting around and a couple of people sneaking and sweating it after a big drive. I'm tipping there were a lot of D's fans that did the naughty thing there. But it's an interesting one in my mind now. We've got, I think there's three clear chances, and Melbourne have beaten the two dangers to them. But how does a Brisbane Lions beat Melbourne at the MCG? And I think if I had to choose a side, I'd say that the Bulldogs are more likely to beat Melbourne at the MCG come late in the year.
Yeah, I see you're still not including Richmond in your top three here now. I don't, at some stage you're going to have to put up...
I got it wrong.
At some stage you're going to have to put up your hand later in the year when Richmond are coming and include them probably in your chances. The top three are going strong, but Richmond are putting together. We've seen this before a few times. Richmond, they were tested on the weekend as well.
They still have their flat spots, and I'm saying you can't have two quarters where you just switch off, which they did again against Essendon. And I thought Essendon were entitled to be in front up until the last quarter.
Yeah, but everyone has a flat spot. So you could have said that against Brisbane, against Melbourne for the second half. The Bulldogs switched off against Melbourne as well. You can't play your best football all the time. And if you look at history and at short-term history with Richmond, they're as well placed as any year they've won the flag in the last 4 years. So I wouldn't be dropping off them. But obviously Melbourne have got a big advantage now that they've got the 2 games clear on top. And, they might be able to rest players and stuff like that on the back end of the year. Probably not now. They've got the bye coming up. But, listen, if the finals are in Melbourne at the MCG, maybe Melbourne might get a crowd. They might chisel off some supporters. They might come back from the snow and, they'll have
Probably can't get to the snow.
They'll have a wild ride in September. But I think the final 8, we've said that for probably 4 or 5 weeks now, looks pretty set. Be surprised if someone did drop out. But, I'm not sure it's a 3-horse race just yet for the flag.
I was just staggered to see Clayton Oliver and Petrarca in that last quarter, the fourth quarter. They were running like it was the first quarter. They were absolutely in beast mode, and wow, they've just gone to a completely new level altogether. So good luck to all the D's fans. I saw a lot of them tweeting in the first quarter on Twitter. They're all sort of reverse crying, saying, we're playing awful and this and that, and kicking the dog and kicking the cat. But
it's good to see they've got high expectations for their footy side now. That all of a sudden they've, they look up an 11-1 and they don't want to see them playing bad footy. And so with the side they've got, it's good because the players set the same standard for themselves. And they would have been frustrated with their first half, and they were all able to adjust. And look what they did in the second half. So they're well led by their midfield, aren't they? Gorn, Oliver, and Petrarca are going very well. So. I think they might teach Poor Collingwood a lesson this week.
It's a nice segue into Poor Collingwood. We put up a little bit of a Twitter poll. It's on the screen now. There's a lot of rumour, and I guess Carlton have come out on the front foot, and they're going to do an external, internal review of the football department. Barker's already gone. Johnny Barker's stepped down from his role. And we put a little tweet out there with a poll and said, who will be the first AFL coach to be sacked? And David Teague won the vote, 59.5%. Buckley second, 31.2%, and then Ratton 7.5%, and other list below. Our mate Top Rope Tedeschi chimes in, sack them all. That's probably one of those on-brand statements. If he's not getting a coach sacked in the NRL, Tedeschi is looking for blood in the AFL. Ranks.
It's rare he shows interest in the AFL code when there's some voice around about a coach being sacked. The media love getting around these stories. It's we kind of sit back and laugh that not laugh, but like just criticise a bit that they want to protect the players at all costs with the
mental health,
with the mental health and goal kicking, and let's not go after Max King and leave Higgins and all that alone. But geez, they don't mind going after a coach. They don't worry about the coach's mental health at all. It seems so. It's very very diverse in the way they protect one and. Love to blood in the water on the other. So, Carlton are going to go through their protocols, I guess. But, there's a few coaches. And I think you made a good point the other day when we're talking about when one block falls in the coaching, I think you might see 3 or 4 this year, So,
well, it's a race to get the next best talent in the marketplace.
Yeah, it's almost a pressure situation when someone wants to miss out on the next great thing, I think. So, in the next probably, I don't know if anything will happen in the next couple of weeks. Maybe if Collingwood get belted this week by Melbourne, they might do something, but it'll be interesting to see who pulls the pin first. But there'll be definitely some coaching changes before 2022 season for sure.
There's a lot of talk about Sam Mitchell stepping up for Clarkson, which would mean that Clarkson could go somewhere else. Ross Lyon seems to be lurking in the background, and I guess it's a good time to sell someone like Ross Lyon. The game's pretty average at the moment, pretty defensive.
Yeah, true. He'll slot right in.
He'll slot right into the modern game.
He could go to Carlton, win a flag.
Easily.
Well, Carlton are going okay. They've just got no defence, so if Ross Lyon adds that, then maybe they're premiership bound in 2022. Who knows?
Okay, so of the Rabbles, Hawthorn's one of them, sadly. Hawthorn, Collingwood, Carlton, St Kilda. Who would you inherit? If you were a coach and you could have your cherry pick, who would you like?
Right now at the list, I'd go Carlton on the proviso that they keep Mackay. I think he's just doing...
Is he on the market?
I think he's just doing the professional shop around. I don't think he's any different to what Merritt's doing at Essendon. I don't think Merritt's going to leave Essendon, not just because of their upward curve. I just think he's shopping himself around and getting top dollar for what Essendon will pay for him. I'm sure Mackay's doing the same. And if Carlton can't let him walk out the door.
I tell you what, I'm not sure how Collingwood salary cap's going, but Hawthorn and Essendon would absolutely love a Mackay.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Collingwood could throw their hat in the ring after letting Treloar in the debacle of last year. So, listen, if I had a choice of the 4 you mentioned, I'd probably choose Carlton. But, you'd want to be a pretty strong coach going in there because their culture over the last 20 years is not good. Okay,
so then if Hawthorn or Essendon landed, the Essendon job's not up for grabs, but if Hawthorn landed Harry Mackay, would you then swap your pick and want to coach Hawthorn?
I think Hawthorn are a fair way off him at the moment. Mackay would obviously make a big difference. He'd make a big difference to any side. He's leading the Coleman at the moment. He won't win the Coleman, but he's leading it at the moment. But yeah, player changes make a big deal. I mean, if he went to Collingwood, that'd make a big difference to their setup because they've virtually got DeGoey and Elliott going forward, and that's it. So you put, imagine a Mackay in the Collingwood setup, all of a sudden they can go fast.
Yeah.
And they've shown glimpses the last 2 weeks when they go fast how good a side potentially they can be. So player changes make a big difference for sure. But I think Carlton out of the four that you mentioned would be my choice.
So maybe the poll is correct. 59.5% want or think the T's going to get the chop. And with John Barker already gone, maybe it's going to happen sooner rather than later. Let's have a look at the bookie wrap. We've got so much to get through on today's show. Round 12, the favourites went 50%, 3 and 6. The line, 2 and 6, 33%. The over went 3 and 6. And then for the season, we've got the favourites 75 and 105 at 71%. The line is almost smack bang on there, 52 and 105. And then the total over 57 out of 105 at 54%. So, yeah, it's the plus. There were a few of them that got backed, but the real big goes for the week, and there's a couple of interesting angles here. Brisbane Lions were 4.5 to 3.5. Big miss that one.
Yep. Yeah, the book. I think this is
crazy.
This is a clear win to the bookies this week. The only problem is for the bookies, one or two that I spoke to, is a short week. So, unfortunately, they get the results rolled their way. And, there's obviously a restriction of turnover, especially with multis and stuff like that, with only the 6 games compared to the 9, obviously drags down your bottom line. But, yeah, the bookies won this weekend pretty solidly. And, yeah, as you're about to discuss, a few of the misses.
The other interesting one there, Sydney line was 7.5 to 22.5. It was a miss. And then Carlton were 2.5 to 13.5. It was incredible. I was all over Carlton. I thought West Coast would barely field a side, and I guess that's why Carlton are in their predicament. It was they've lost the unlosable, and a side that just had a better attitude turns up and gets the job done. So it's been amazing. I'm kicking myself now, and never again Carlton for me. Not until they get drastic changes or they play someone as bad as Hawthorn. Yeah, but they've already done that. They just can't go to war with this side.
Yeah, we picked up on it in the first probably 3 to 4 weeks of the season that the modelling angle, which has a big influence on the AFL trends, really like Carlton this year. And I thought there'd be an adjustment at some stage with the way the modelers see Carlton, but they smashed them on the weekend. It was almost a one-goer. And the bookies got a massive result out of it. So, yeah, I think a few modelers are still scratching their head, but they keep backing up week after week. They've got plenty of money. They must be going well for the rest of the games because they keep pouring it into Carlton. And I think the only 2 games this year that they haven't been back, they've won. And the rest, I think, bar one, maybe they've missed. So they've really got Carlton as one of their bogey sides. I'm sure when they're looking at their stats, they're going, how are we reading Carlton here, fair income? So West Coast got to a massive price in the end. Great trading game as well. It would have been live. So, well, it'll be interesting to see. Carlton got the bye this week, so good for the modelers. They can have a week off and more cash in their pocket. We'll see how they come back the round after.
All right, we'll skip through to Sting in the Tail, and we've made it Carlton this week. We might as well just get all our Carlton bashing out in a really quick time frame here, but they're 4 and 8. But a point that you've raised here is Teague stepped in as an interim coach. He stepped in when they were absolute rabble, and for those that have been following the game for the last sort of 10 years, there is a pattern here of not giving the Carlton coaches much of a chance. What do you recall? They like to eat their own.
They're a bit like Richmond before Hardwick.
They even wanted him gone.
Yeah, up until that point, that was always their culture. They had a high turnover of coaches through a decent period there, Richmond. They were successful in the 80s, and then they had a real pattern. You're right, Hardwick was out the door, except Brendan Gale saved him. And Carlton, since the 2000s now, well, their last flag was in 95.
They bought that one, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, that's a side issue. That's a long conversation as well if you want to have it in depth. But, so now we're going on 25 years since their last premiership, and they're the least successful in the 2000s. I think they've had maybe 5 wooden spoons, I think the stats go, and haven't played too many final series in that time. And their turnover of coaches is pretty poor. And I think it also reflects on the administration that they have at Carlton. I'm not sure whether they've got the balance right generally of football people and power brokers. They love the businessmen to lead.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
And maybe that doesn't translate through to the on-field performances. But, yeah, Carlton have got some issues for sure. They got changes at the top again. And a lot of people were surprised about T getting the job for sure, whether they should have got an experienced coach. Because the culture needs to change there. So, what happens to the processes that they went through to come up with that Teague was their man 3 years ago. And now if they turn around and say, do go a Ross Lyon or even a Hardwick if he becomes available,
Clarkson.
What's the shift in philosophies for Carlton then? Do they go back to the experience because they need a football person basically. They need a hard edge. They don't like playing defence. Carlton have got some real issues and their supporters don't like not having success. But like a few other sides, they've been cellar dwellers for a long time now.
So their draw opens up a little bit. So there is some sort of hope for them. So they could easily pinch a couple of big wins on the trot, and maybe it's a good time to get rid of the coach, fresh start, get some wins on the board, get some momentum. Positive PR, and then over time just change their structures. But I think Teague made the mistake, or it's a funny one because we like to see attacking football and everyone wants to see attacking football.
Which they do play.
Yeah, which they do play.
Yep.
But they just keep falling short. But they just look lost. Their game strategy looks to not have evolved. It looks a bit of a mess.
When they're off, they're bad. And
they turn the ball over a lot.
Yeah, I think Eddie Betts mentioned it. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. He says, listen, when we play good, we look top class, and when we play bad, we're very ordinary. And that's the gap at AFL level that you've got to find that balance, and that comes with attacking with defensive as well. And I think that's what has allowed Melbourne to make the jump, and probably Brisbane 2 years ago. That in terms of improvement, they've really found that balance. And they move as a team, and Carlton just probably playing as individuals. And remember, Carlton did bring in plenty of recruits, and maybe they just haven't gelled with Sard and Williams and everything like that. They kind of all want to keep playing their way.
They've recruited to play finals, and they're a mile off.
Yeah, they're a mile off. They won't play this year, but you're right. Maybe the time is to get rid of Teague now. If that's their decision, then they give themselves a good chunk of games to go in, build up some momentum, show some positive signs, sign Mackay, and get ready for 2022.
All right, well, there we go. So thoughts and prayers with David Teague there. He looks like he's walking on very, very thin ice. And, as we said, once one domino falls, there could be a couple. So no one is safe in this AFL world. And just watch the media pick apart these guys' lives. It is incredible how much damage they can do to others' mental health while they sort of get on their high horse and say, let's look after the players and all that garbage. Now, today's show, we've got some AFL previews for this week on round 13. We've got the NRL, we've got Origin with Top Row, round 14, a couple of matches there. We've got Lock of the Week. Oh God, we've done it again. We've found a way to get beat again. I'm nearly ready to sack the segment, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a meeting next week if we can't get on the board and just cut it out the charity. They just want the 200 that Top Sports give up every week and just bank it.
It's like those punters clubs that you have with your mates. When they say, we'll bank 20% and bet the rest? I think we just need to bank all of it.
Yeah, we just keep finding those close losses that just keep checking us. But we've gone 0 for 3 in the lock. So anyway, we'll roll out this week and see how we go. Maybe Top Rope can lead the way in State of Origin this week.
We'll do our best for our streams, and we'll find other ways to make money for charity. Last year, I think we raised $17,000 for motor neuron disease. So make sure you get behind Fight M&D. It's the big match on Monday. Buy a beanie. We'll certainly do that also. But if you're having a bet this weekend, support the bookmaker that supports us. Top Sport do great work for charity. Tristan shaved his melon not long ago, and his daughter was absolutely filthy about it. But if you're betting this weekend, make sure you bet with a bookmaker you can trust. The Millahans have been in the game for 35 years. Topsport.com.au. Up next, we're going to talk AFL round 13, and let's look at the big blockbusters. Welcome back to Little Birdie Podcast. I'm your host, Scoot. I've got the kid MG, and it's time to look at AFL round 13, and thank God we've got Thursday night football back. We've got Port Adelaide versus the Cats, and it's $1.77 Port Adelaide at Adelaide Oval, and the Cats $2.09, and the line 3.5. I tell you what, it took the bookies an eternity to put this match up. They're going to private charter flight. It's very, very dramatic. scenes here. We've had the don't touch the footy over in Adelaide saga from the Cho who's running the show over here, and now there's this charter flight and they have to leave straight away. One thing is clear and certain: the AFL players have had a gutful of the hubs, and I tend to agree.
Yeah, especially for a town like Geelong that doesn't have COVID. For them to have to go through the protocols just because they live in Victoria, I find it a bit strange. But yeah, they took a good 48 hours, I guess, to sort out that the game could be in Adelaide. Halted betting, but now we've got the market up and the Cats are sorted out and they're all ready to go. So this match should be an absolute cracker. Both off the bye, they're fresh. You've got some players coming back. Dangerfield's he's still got to get past a fitness test. He'll make a big difference to the market.
Big ins, Duncan, Guthrie, Blifkas.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and you add Dangerfield on top. If Dangerfield plays, I think this market will go to pick.
Okay.
And I think the bookies are just having a bit each way. I think the market probably settles at 4 or 5 Port if Dangerfield doesn't play. But I think the money will come for Geelong, obviously, if Dangerfield plays with the whole midfield coming back in. But yeah, listen, they're both 8 and 3. This is a top 4 game, potentially a top 2. Big game for Geelong. They've won over there, so they won't hold any fears of late in their history. As I said, they're both fresh and ready to go. So Thursday night football is good. We've got State of Origin Wednesday, AFL Thursday, and then we get right through to Monday. So this week of sport's insane.
Yeah, I've already booked date night on Sunday night with the missus. So, I've bumped into West Coast Richmond for that game. So I've had to sacrifice that one, but I'll be steering the remote for the next couple of nights. That's for sure. Geelong will try and turn this into a grind. And do you think that Port's best chances to play attacking footy and make it a score fest? Like what's the best way to attack this from the Port Adelaide team?
Port have played just as many Dower games as Geelong this year. They don't mind having a low scoring game. Yeah, I don't think there's too many points. I think the totals are probably low enough. I wouldn't be jumping into the overs either on a Thursday night at Football Park.
Dewey.
Yeah, I could see this game being as low as a 130, 140, and someone grinding out a win. Because of the importance of the win, I think they'll play it a bit like a final, home crowd at Port Adelaide, but. Either team you could see scrapping out a 70 to 60 kind of result here, I think.
My head says that Port should win this, but they've got a fair bit of milk drinker in them. Which way are you betting?
It's a fair call.
They do. They're flat track bullies, but they are at home. But you can just see someone like Geelong really get themselves up mentally for this game. And the game's played, I'd say, 20-30% in the Melon?
Yeah. I haven't got too involved in either sides this year. I think they're pretty hard to catch, even though they're the top end of a ladder. But yeah, I just think at the price, just going to wait to see if Dangerfield doesn't play. But I shade Port just at the number if I was having a bet. They posted 2. It's now 3. I just think with the home ground advantage, it's a wiser bet to go Port.
On Friday night, we've got Sydney Swans versus Hawthorn. There's plenty of weather around, so we're going to skip that one. Gold Coast Suns are on the move there in their match on Saturday. Saints versus Adelaide. That's another treacherous encounter. The Kangas Giants. Oh, it's not a great card of betting, but I'll tell you what, this next game that we're going to talk about Sunday night, Richmond Tigers versus West Coast Eagles at Optus Stadium. West Coast back up and about, and hopefully a couple of players back in. But Tigers are away favourites here, 168. West Coast Eagles 222. The line 5.5. Richmond have just moved into 185 there, and the total here is 161.5. Richmond over in Perth. Is it an advantage for them now that they're over there? Is it an even greater advantage that they've been settled in the West?
Well, they played there last week against Essendon, but they've travelled back. They didn't stay there, so but obviously familiar surroundings for them. The trips don't hold any fear for Richmond. I think a lot of sides played away from home last year and stuff, so they've got recent memories of playing around. They play the ground well. I think easy bet for you this week. You're back on the Tigers train, I think. You're still anti-West Coast.
No, I'm very anti-West Coast.
Anti-West Coast. I don't like backing sides at home with good interstate teams at home with good records, and West Coast certainly have got one of them. I know they got rolled by Essendon a couple of weeks ago, and that'll make them all more determined. They do get a couple of key-ins as well, Kennedy and Oscar Allen.
Will they play Oscar Allen up forward this week?
I think so. With the forwards that Richmond have got, they'll definitely start him there.
Mad not to.
Yeah, they'll go with the strength. But no, this is a tough game. Like I think just on current form, you would have to shade Richmond at the line. But you know what happens after the result is when you see West Coast win and you go, how could I back West Coast as outsiders at home? Because it doesn't happen too often. So this is a game I'm probably just going to watch, actually. So lucky I made my date night Sunday morning for breakfast, Nico. You know, you got to learn from experience. You got to look at the card first and then make your family commitments afterwards. Not missing out watching the Sunday night clash. This will be a good match for West Coast. Desperate to, for Richmond as well for the final 8 here. This is a big game for the loser. Puts pressure on them with those that are coming from behind them, even though they've got the 2-game gap. But I just think looking at the market, you look like Richmond's the preferred bet on the current form. But don't doubt West Coast at home too much. Quickest way to go broke.
I might be going broke, and I did it last week. I was all over Western Bulldogs. I thought they were the wrong price against the Dockers, and I'm saying that the Richmond Football Club should be much shorter than the $1.68 in the market. I think they bet $1.90 at some places early in the week. So if you snap that up, well done.
Yep.
And I think that Richmond are close to a good thing this week. Right. Let's talk about the Melbourne Collingwood game, another game that's been shifted here. We've got the D's $1.16. I'm not sure why they're not $1.04 here. Collingwood Magpies $5.40 and the Lions 31.5. I think it's been 29.5 to 31.5, and 152.5 is the total there. This is at 3:00 on Monday afternoon at the SCG.
Yep.
Thoughts here, Mark?
Yeah, like this game. We've bet this game early. Agree with you. And when I put up the price, I had Richmond much closer to a 40 line here. And I thought it'd be one-way traffic at that. To put up a 29, I think I'm getting a good little pinch to head start. Can't see too much money for Collingwood here. The only query I've got in this match is Melbourne coming off playing 2 final-like games against the Dogs.
Take the foot off the pedal a bit.
Yeah, maybe. But I just think when you do the matchups, the ratings, whatever you want to come out with, 5 goals, they can put that on in a quarter against Collingwood. I just don't think Collingwood got too many points in them in this game. And Melbourne to hold them under 85, 90 points, all of a sudden you see the gap closer to 40 than 30. So I was happy to take the 29.5. The market shifted a little bit at the moment. And, you know, this is probably one of the better bets of the week, I think. Melbourne at minus 29.5, or now 31.5, I'd be still betting. I think it'll only go one way. Melbourne, they'll want to put Collingwood down, I think. They've got a big history between them. So
they'd be ready to bury them, wouldn't they? Yeah.
I think so. I just think, you can't expect Elliott to kick what he did last week with 6 goals. And often when you come back from a long break the second week up, you're a bit sore and you don't play as well generally. So they just haven't got the avenues to goal. Plus they've got to get through Lever and May as well. So, I'd be keen to back Melbourne, probably the 40 plus at the moment. I think it's about 225 or 230 as well.
I'll be definitely with you there. The $1.16 will be in plenty of my Flair multis, that's for sure. If you like what you hear from Mark's analysis, make sure you check out Mark's AFL Stings in the Little Birdie shop. I think it's about $165 for the rest of the season. You get a comprehensive preview of every match, and it's about 2 or 3 pages. So it's plenty of reading to help you through all the matches. Mark doesn't bet in all of them, but if you want to bet in every single match, you can look at his analysis and reference it with what you see. Okay, that's enough for us with AFL. We're going to have a break from the futures this week because we're going to cram in some French Open tennis and some basketball, as we said before. So we'll take a break. But if you're doing the form this weekend for the Stradbroke or Swan Hill, make sure you check out puntingform.com.au. They've got some brand new features as part of their sectional pro form packs. So give puntingform.com.au a bit of a look this weekend if you're betting the ponies. But up next, we're going to talk to Ace previews and we're going to talk French Open. Welcome back to Little Birdie Podcast. I'm your host, Scoot. I've got MG in studio. We've just done the AFL. Now it's time to talk tennis with our man, Ace Previews. Stevie Quick, how are you, mate? You fresh?
Yeah, incredibly fresh. Nothing like watching a couple of outrights last night till 2 a.m. in the morning lose. Was it 6-8 in the third set and 7-9 in the third set? So, yeah, look, it was a bit like watching Jack Higgins try and kick a goal on the weekend. It was really comfortable viewing last night.
Oh, well, at least Melbourne lockdown hasn't affected you. You're just watching tennis all day and night, and you're just betting your brains out. It's good to hear you. I think just off air there, you said you're 8 units in front, so you're winning the battle, and you've had a couple of sick beats. You've seen it all with Djokovic and Mazzetti. Wow. That was a strange one. He's walked off the court. He's just thrown the toys out of the cot and given up after having Djokovic on the ropes.
Yeah, look, I think it shows obviously how hard it is to beat those top players over the best of 5 format. Take 2 tie breaks and then only won 1 game afterwards, and then toys out of the cot. Had enough. Said he wasn't injured, and just decided to do the best that's it. Off we go.
All bets void.
Not great if you're on the minus 9.5 for Novak. You've probably thought you've lost it for about 2.5 hours, and then just when you're about to go and collect 2 games from another bagel, Lorenzo just decided, you know what, I think I've had enough of this. I'm not really enjoying being on centre court against Novak, and off we go. So, look, it wasn't. It was probably equal parts. He hasn't really handled the press conference very, very well. I just feel like at some point you just need to know maybe what to say and maybe what not to say, and just going, I can't win. I didn't think I could win a game, so I'm going to retire. Probably not the best tactic.
Can you imagine betting into that match after the John Rahm scenario as well? Imagine if you had that. Look, it's just a new way to get beaten on the punt every week, and it's just something new and different. I'd love to get like a little encyclopedia of ways that you can get absolutely sausage on the punt.
Oh, there'd be a long list.
It'd be a massive list.
Yeah, we could get our crew together. I'm sure everyone's got a full chapter of bad beats.
And even the Logan Paul, that if you could find a bookie that was betting on that one, even those bets were void.
Yeah,
because I backed Mayweather hoping he'd knock him out, and he didn't. So then it was all bets off anyway.
You were wondering where he's $1.19.
Yeah,
to knock him out.
I was taking $1.19 to knock him out. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I just love betting. Now, speaking of loving betting, let's have a look at the French Open market. And if you love betting, you've probably already taken the good price Nadal. He started much bigger than the $1.62 on offer at TopSport at the moment. Tsitsipas is $5.50. Djokovic is $7.50. Zverev $9.75. His missus posted a very funny video yesterday on Insta. Big fan of her work. Matteo Berrettini is 71 and Schwartzman is 161. Tell us why we shouldn't just be reloading on Nadal here, Ace.
I think we could probably go back and rewind and replay from a couple of weeks ago. As I said, like the form is certainly there on the surface, particularly at Roland Garros. So it is hard to make a case against him at the moment. Look, maybe perhaps he gets some dodgy conditions against Novak in the semi-final. It's hard to make a case against him, particularly when he gets to the final here. It's
free money.
Not many players come into the quarterfinals of a Grand Slam and they're $1.03. I think he is tonight against Schwartzman. So look, I can't make a case at the moment. I think it's going to take. I've watched 3 players now, I think, try and serve out sets against him this week, and they haven't been able to serve out a set. So I'm struggling to see someone be able to do that 3 times against Nadal in a particular match.
And looking at the women's side, Iga Swiatek, she's still the favourite there.
So she's probably got her biggest challenge tonight, I think, of the rest of them. I think Sakkari is the type of player who can frustrate Iga a little bit. I think if there's one knock on Iga's game, it's that sometimes, particularly against players who can retrieve and extend points really well, and I'll use Halep at the Australian Open this year as an example, that she can get a little bit frustrated and start to go for a little bit too much. I think she doesn't realise how good she is and the fact that she doesn't really need to try and find lines every time she hits. So I think Sakkari's looked really good this tournament. And I think I think there's a +5 games I think is available at the moment. Looks at a decent shot, particularly with Sakkari through, I think it's 3 of her 4 games. Here in Paris has won over 80% of points behind her first serve. So she's going a little bit bigger. She's been a little bit more aggressive and might be able to put up a bit of a challenge for Swiatek.
And what about the $4 off the stick there? Is it worth, if you're on Swiatek early in the tournament, is Maria worth a saver bet here or not?
I think potentially. So I'm the other way. So I have a very small amount on Zachary at 80s. So I'm probably leaving that and maybe just making a small play at the handicap. But I think when you look at the players that are left in this draw, particularly, that's Zidansek and Pavlyuchenkova in the other semi-final, I think this is probably the bigger test for Iga. So I would, if Swiatek's your only play on the outright, I think this is probably the bigger danger game for her out of the three that remain if she were to make her way through.
I'm just checking my phone, and you've left me out of Maria at 80, so no worries at all. Let's have a bet in Nadal's match tonight. By all means, take the $1.03 if you like against Schwartzman here. $14 Diego, and then it's a flat 9. The line, and then the total games is 28.5. How can we have a bet into this Nadal-Schwartzman clash, Ace?
I mean, it's easy to use the term better than bank interest for Rafa at $1.03, particularly the way the banks are at the moment. But I'm more interested in looking at the -9 games here. I think these two met in the Roland Garros semi-final last year in conditions that were probably more favourable for Schwartzman, and he couldn't get it done there, couldn't take a set off Rafa. Schwartzman looked, he really struggled for long periods of his match with Struff the other day to be able to hold serve consistently. So I think, fast forward to this quarterfinal, day conditions against Rafa, I think it's going to be a really, really tough time for Diego.
Marcos?
Yeah, okay. -9 Rafa. That sounds like a good bet. Just going forward, how do you see the weekend panning out with your tips for both finals, for both the men and the women's? Who do you think will play off for the titles?
I think playing off for the titles, look, I have Rafa and Novak getting through here in their quarterfinals tonight, so they will be meeting in the semi-final. I do think playing in a semi-final is the best chance, I think, for Novak to beat Rafa. He's obviously struggled in finals here in the past against him. But I see Rafa coming through. Tsitsipas versus Rev in the other semi-final. They've both had relatively comfortable draws to get to that point, but you probably have to go with Tsitsipas just based on his overall body of work through the entire clay season. So I'd probably be looking to a Nadal-Tsitsipas final. And I think over the best of 5, I think Tsitsipas showed a couple of weeks ago he struggled to close Rafa out across best of 3. So I think it's going to be a tough ask for him there. And I think on the women's, look, I think the winner of Swiatek-Zachary takes it out.
Wow.
I think you look to the bottom, Zidansek and Pavlyuchenkova, they've both had great tournaments. Zidansek was 2 points away from losing in the first round to Andreescu, and you fast forward 10 days, she's in her first Grand Slam semi-final, and Andreescu's sacked her coach. So there's fine margins in this game of tennis. It's been a big couple of weeks for those two down the bottom. But I think whoever comes out of that top half, and I would imagine that if the winner of Zachary and Swiatek is probably going to be able to knock off Krejcikova or Coco in that top half there. But maybe one to keep an eye on and having a look at the top sport markets is, I was looking forward to seeing Coco Gauff play at Wimbledon this year, given she played really well as a very, very young player at the top of the game in 2019. And I think she's longer odds in the outright markets there than a number of players that aren't particularly great or adept on grass. So that's one to probably keep an eye out for the next month or so.
Really tip.
Yeah, outstanding. A little speculator. And Steve knows his business. Swiatek last year at $34, and he's found Maria at 80s and left us all out, or left me out. If you subscribe to his stuff, you're probably absolutely all over it. Steve, we'll let you grab a coffee or go back to bed, and good luck for the rest of the French Open. And I can't wait to catch up for a game of golf or a beer as soon as we get out of this stinking lockdown. But well done, mate.
No worries. Thanks very much for having me, guys.
Thanks, guys. If you're having a bet this weekend on the French Open, make sure you check out Top Sport. They've got about 16 prop markets on every game of the finals, and you can back the win, you can back the line, you can back the totals, you can flare right up, you can put Nadal in a Melbourne Storm multi, as we like to do. You can put him into the Ds this week, put him into the Tigers, and make sure you do it responsibly, of course. We're going to take a break, and it's time to talk Origin and Rugby League with our man Top Rope Tedeschi. Welcome back to the Little Birdie Podcast. I'm your host, Scoot. I've got MG in studio with me and Top Rope Tedeschi time. It's Hall of Fame time. We're going to get straight into him, but he looks like he's just walked off set from, I don't know, the River Wild or Homeward Bound or something. What's with that jacket, Top Rope?
Scooty, is snowing. I have just, I'm rattled this morning. I'm all over the shop. It's Origin Day. I haven't got a bet on. It's carnage at the moment. Absolute carnage.
Definitely on the back foot. Now, Hall of Fame. And there's an illustrious list of stars. This is someone who does something good on the punt, or there's a renowned punting story, a sting. Juppy's been in there. Jamie Carr's in there. Barosha's been in there. Hugh Bowman's been in there. I'm sure Oliver, Mr. One Bet, he's been in there. And last week it was Xander Schauffele. With his side action, him and Phil down at Torrey Pines in their off time. They'll be betting more around a golf than the prize money available on the PGA Tour. MG, you're struggling to get many runs on the board in the Hall of Fame. We just keep flat out rejecting your nominations. Who you got this week?
Yeah, you got one or two in.
Oh yeah, you have, but that's not many.
One or two nominations.
Oh.
Well, I keep batting up every week, so, you know.
Just slam you down. Who have you got this week? You got anyone?
Well, sitting back, he'd probably have some punting stories, this guy. Yeah. And we watched him box on Sunday, and I thought Top Rope, he might have tuned in Top Rope, but Money Mayweather. He's renowned for throwing plenty of cash around. He loves walking into some of your establishments and lighting it up. So I'm going to go with, what was it called? Legalised bank robbery, was it?
Yeah, and then I love that one. The follow-up too was Money Not Legacy. Pays the bills. He's got to be the king, doesn't he? He comes out with the OnlyFans hat on, and he's got his own rappers for his hype music. That'd be along your lines, wouldn't it, Top Rope?
Absolutely love the nomination. Absolutely love the nomination. And look, kid, so close. He's probably a future Hall of Famer, no doubt. Not this week. We can't put him in this week. We can't. For starters, if you're involved in a sport that I'm not betting on, then there's a serious issue as to the legitimacy of that sport. So, major concerns. I think I was betting on Women's European Tour golf and some badminton points betting at that stage. So, no, this week we're going to give it to. We're going to give it to probably something that's been incredibly hard done by, particularly in your neck of the woods. The Hall of Fame nomination this week is COVID. COVID this week. We're putting COVID in the Hall of Fame. Anyone who backed Colin Morikawa or Patrick Cantlay at the Memorial on the weekend had pretty much torn up their tickets. If we, of course, lived in a day where we got tickets. John Rahm walks off leading by 6 shots. Birdie I think, had 11 putts in the back 9. Could not possibly lose the Memorial. Would have traded $1 less. Walks off, gets told, you've got COVID, son, you're out. Now, when you talk about miracles, and I am someone who backed both Morikawa and Cantlay, that kind of miracle does not happen too often. So,
it's a COVID miracle.
And I'll tell you what, getting that golf bet up barely put a dent in the deficit for the weekend, but it was much appreciated nonetheless. Sometimes miracles do happen. If you don't believe in God, you obviously didn't back Patrick Cantlay or Colin Morikawa on the weekend, because that was amazing. Yeah, COVID's wreaked some damage across the world. There's been some people who've gotten a little ill. There's been cities that have been shut down, sure. COVID does have its problems. It's not perfect. When it comes to the golf sense, it gets the job done, and I've got a big thank you for it. Well done, COVID. You're in the Hall of Fame. And well done, Patrick Cantlay.
I'll tell you what, Top Rope, you might be onto something. It could be performance enhancing. We have John Rahm going on tournament record speed, and I cast my eye over a really interesting one. There was a marathon or a long distance runner who ran a sub 28 for the 10,000 a couple of days ago. His name was Emil Carrez. I've pronounced his name right there, but he's qualified in for the 10,000 meter event. He had COVID 10 weeks ago, and he's run a sub 28 for the 10,000 to qualify for the Olympics. So I'll tell you what, this is performance enhancing. Any racehorse trainer out there, You've just seen how good John Rahm goes, and now all of a sudden a 10,000 metre athlete, they'll start swabbing this in the gallops top rope.
I'll tell you what, Scooty. If I'm no anti-vaxxer, if I can get away with 11 putts for 9 holes, I'll be honest, they're going to do well to catch me and stick that needle in the arm. Because there'll be no jab coming this way. Because all I want is to be able to get around like that. So, you know what? You might be onto something, Scooty. You might be onto something. Any trainers out there we can get to test this one out? Anyone loose with the truth?
There'd be a few willing.
Yeah, there'd be many willing. I'd have no doubt about that. But,
we've got no names this week, boys.
We'll try and stay on air and we'll keep our sponsors happy there. Let's talk about the Origin. You sort of previewed it a little bit last week. It's on tonight. It's at Townsville, Tent City. I think some of the criticism, I saw one bookie said, have a look at these rural and country towns charging an arm and a leg for subpar accommodation. I tell you what, I whacked him into place. I said, mate, the only robbing is being done at Darwin Cup is you betting 140% on your boards. Don't you give these rural and country towns a whack for accommodation. But the money... The bookmakers have copped a bit of a whack. It's all one-way traffic here. New South Wales, I think they bet as good as 2.5. It's now to 5.5. 148 New South Wales, 275 the Maroons, and 42.5. And there's been money for the under. They're starting to listen to your top rope. They think it's going to go under, the punters.
Do you ever get a sense of deja vu, boys? Because every year it just seems like New South Wales game one off the map. Queensland can't win. The last 7 games of non-neutral site, the home team's won. 7 of the last 9 Origin games have been decided. Game ones have been decided by single digits. 5 of the last 7 by a try less. Queensland, they absolutely do not have the amount of talent that New South Wales have, but they absolutely have a better team. They're a better coach. I honestly don't get this betting. To me, this is an absolute picking game. And I will be all over the plus 5.5 for the big odds against Queensland. You can have the Blues. I reckon this Queensland side is primed for this game. Townsville could not suit Queensland any better. Yep, it'll be a fast track. That'll suit New South Wales. It is going to be rabid up there. There will not be a blue jersey in sight. And if there is a blue jersey in sight, they're going to find themselves buried under the mad cow by the end of the evening. First one's ahead.
Oh, Andrew Johns has been quoted in one of today's papers saying that Munster at 5'8" is giving him nightmares, and I hope you're right. I'm going to plough into the Queenslanders. I was born sunny coast, so I'm going to go to war with them at 5.5. Hopefully it gets to a 6. I love 6 as a bit of a push number.
Would love a 6. Would love the 6.
Would horn right up, and then we'll go for the double bubble there. We'll go the under 42.5. Nice little number for us there. Top rope, it's really tricky stuff. Round 14 rugby league. Let's have a look at a couple of blockbusters and help navigate us through this. You might have to put your little snowshoes on to get through this garbage. It's Friday night at Lotto Land. I'm surprised they're still going. Friday night, 6 o'clock, Manly Sea Eagles, North Queensland Cowboys, 138 the Sea Eagles, 305 North Queensland, 8.5 there, $2 the minus there, $1.80 the plus, and 50, an even 50 there. Manly Sea Eagles. What happens here, top rope? Can players back up?
They can back up, and that's where this round becomes very, very tricky to forecast too early on. So this line is a little strange, right? If Tommy Trbojevic plays, it probably starts 12.5. If he doesn't play, probably starts 4.5. They're having a bet each way here. I would be stunned if he played. 2-day backup, injury prone. They desperately need him. They're in the 8 right now. I don't know if he plays or not. So the bet on this one is if he plays, back Manly. If he doesn't, back the Cows. But there is a really good bet in this game. Over 49.5 points is an absolutely outstanding bet. This is as confident as I've been on a total in a nighttime game for a long time. This is an unbelievable total spot here for the over. Manly 16-4 over in games of Brookie when they're off a loss. They've covered the over. He's hit 22 of 31 at Brookie. They're a big over team when they're heavily favoured. The Cowboys are a big over team off a bad defensive performance. Just give me the over on this one. I'll be backing this. Bit of the Ric Flair at 61 plus, 71 plus. There's going to be a ton of points.
Outstanding. Massive push there. The top rope and totals have been an absolute fill-up. He's torched the bookies.
Wish I could put it in the lock.
He's on fire. So a lot of confidence there. 50. It's already gone to a flat 50 there at Top Sport over in the Manly North Queensland game. Let's have a look at Friday night football at Nostrata Jubilee Stadium. Penrith away favourites here, 141, 290 the Sharks. 7.5 the line and 48.5 the total here. Penrith upset against the West Tigers. I sort of love the way they said, oh, you can have your little day in the sun. I love the banter from the Penrith Panthers, but surely they won't get beaten 2 in a row here, and as many players as humanly possible will back up for this one, won't they?
Don't know what's going to happen with Penrith. There's 7 players on origin duty. Aki Coruscant, the AF man, will definitely play. The other 6 haven't been named in the side. They've all been named in the reserves, so all available to play, but unclear whether they will. They're a young side. They put a lot of weight on the regular season, so I'm happy to suggest that most of them will back up. And if that's the case, then the -7.5 is a bet. It did get into 6.5 yesterday, so I think there is a little bit of a whisper around that most of them will back up. So I am not expecting with 2 weeks off, they've got another Origin, and then there's they've got their bye coming in a few weeks' time. I don't think they'll be resting players, so I think the Penrith are probably a bet in this one.
Nice. It wouldn't be an episode of Little Birdie if we didn't talk about the Melbourne Storm Sunday, 2 o'clock, Central Coast Stadium, the home away from home for the New Zealand Warriors. Storm are away favourites here, $1.17, no surprise there, $5.10. Tell you what, the extra couple of days here suits them on the back up. Scary for the Warriors. 14.5 the line there. There's been a nibble for the minus. I'm tipping it's top ropes money, and then the total there is 50.5. How are we playing here? Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. Well, the Warriors, they have a very good record at Gosford. They're very good off a loss. But we're back in the Storm -14.5 to the surprise of absolutely nobody. Didn't get the job done last week with a pretty depleted side. They've got 5 players having to back up this week. No Pat still, so MG is still in a state of mourning at the moment. But he'll be, as you said on the message yesterday, I'm not sure what the messenger was. Was it a messenger or a non? I'm not sure what you were using this video. I think the word was he will be very, very fresh when he returns. But still got Nico Hines. Munster probably backs up if he sobers up in time. And they've still got a pretty good side this week. They did all right at the judiciary. Raymond Smith got that off. So they've won 8 of it. They've won 10 straight against the Storm, against the Warriors. Covered 8 of their last 10. They've got too much attacking power. And the key for the Warriors, Reece Walsh, their new young star, he's been suspended for the game. So I'll be pretty happy to take the minus this one.
And I tell you what, the $1.17 looks very, very juicy for lock of the week later on in the show. I tell you what, I'll be absolutely all over that because I can Penrith Panthers and the rejuvenated West Tigers. Let's say Sunday at 4 o'clock, Bankwest Stadium, $1.28 the Eels, West Tigers $3.70, 11.5 is the line there, and 49.5 the total. Parramatta.
Yep, put in take out the Eels in this one. This is a very, very good bet, the minus in this one. I am surprised the line is as small as it is. Parramatta will be missing Reid Marnie. Definitely going to have an impact there. Parramatta have absolutely dominated the Tigers, and the Tigers beat the Penrith Reserve grade side / Canterbury's 2022 first grade side on Friday night. It was they're going to do a number on the Tigers. They always do a number on the Tigers. Parramatta play their best footy in the daytime. Tigers struggling in daytime footy. I think this could be anywhere up around the 30-point mark by the time this one's done and dusted. So very keen on the minus this one.
Nice.
Jeez.
Convinced? I am.
Well, he's tipping by 30. Giving up 11.5. Yeah, say it's a wager.
All right, let's talk about Lock of the Week. It's been a turbulent season for Lock of the Week. We're trying to get this elusive 5K mark to donate money for charity. We are swinging and missing. It's been very, very disappointing, but we're going to batter up again with a $200 bonus bet from Top Sport, who have been very generous all year, and we're going to try and get to that try line. I'm going to lead the charge. I've had enough. I'm upset, I'm emotional, but I think I've got the right combinations of favourites this week to try and get myself to that $1,000 bank, and then I can really launch from there. But I'm going to take the Richmond Tigers to beat the Eagles. I mentioned earlier in the show that I think the Tigers are immoral. Melbourne Demons are a great price. Sydney Swans will beat my Hawks at the $1.15 as well. I'm going to put in Rafa. Oh, can I stop the great man at Roland Garros? Mark is sick that I've put him in there. He knows that all of a sudden the extra lead's gone into the saddlebag. It's fine.
I've kept you off him the last 2 weeks, and now you put him in the lock.
Now, because I'll be able to collect for next week's show. That's
okay.
that's what we're trying to do with this segment.
Okay.
Melbourne Storm, I'm going to throw in, and just to get myself over that $5 mark, I'm going to put in Para as well. So Storm and Parramatta Eels. So that's a 6-leg multi as lock of the week, $5.33. Cross code, I'm playing to my advantage. You're shaking your head. What are you going to do?
It's a lot of cheering.
200 at 5.33. Bang, I'll be at $1,000.
I just hope Rafa doesn't is not
He's
the leg
fine.
that lets you down.
He's fine.
I'm going to go a 3-leg treble. Just all head-to-head, make it quite simple. Port 177 against Richmond.
Against the Cats?
Sorry.
Wow.
GWS at 128, and your Demons now, apparently, your Demons at 116. So 262 from a 200.
I was going to put in Port, but I decided to put in Storm and Eels instead. So
yeah, that's all right.
I'm sort of now cheering Geelong.
I can only stay in the AFL lane, so you can go wherever you want. I'm surprised you didn't put Mayweather in yesterday. So.
Would have been void. I did put him in a couple other multis, and so all other legs remain live. Top rope, talk to us.
Ric Flair this week. Cameron Munster, man of the match, $8. State of Origin.
All right.
$208. Yeah, a bit unlucky. Or you've been unlucky chasing the Storm, big scores. So I think Munster might be a little value bet there at the $8, and I'm going to follow you in there. I think you landed him last year as well.
The only two-time Hall of Famer in the Little Birdie Hall of Fame, Cameron Munster. If he gets up this week, he could be in for a third time.
Might be immortal.
It could be. He will be. By the time he hangs up his boots, no doubt. All right, we're going to talk basketball. Next, going to talk NBL and NBA. But a big thanks to Top Rope, mate. Rug up there. You're not in lockdown, so enjoy yourself with Origin. No doubt you'll have a bit of the dirty bird. You'll be head first into the KFC tonight, won't you?
No, I head into the pub and I'm going to be head first into about 25 schooners. So.
Love it.
Outstanding stuff. All right, good luck this weekend, Top Rope.
See you, team.
If you want more of Nick Tedeschi stuff, you can get his State of Origin pack. There's all 3 games in the series for $33, or you can get his GGOA for all matches of the NRL season. So head to littlebirdiepod.com and head to the shop. Up next, we're going to talk NBA and NBL with Corey Homicide Williams. Welcome back to Little Birdie Podcast. I'm your host, Scoot. I've got MG here, and we've got a special guest. We've got Homicide Williams joining us to talk NBA and NBL action. How are you, Homicide?
Very well. What's up, gentlemen?
Mate, we've got a big week of betting. There's horse racing, there's AFL, there's NRL, there's French Open, but all the talk around town at the moment is NBL and NBA playoffs. And I guess Jokic has just been announced MVP overnight. Is that a surprise?
It isn't a surprise. Shout out to him. He's done a sensational job. He isn't the prototypical NBA MVP, traditional as far as physically looking, right? Most of the guys are extremely athletic, super quick, signature moves that they can get off on anybody. And he doesn't even look like he lifts weights. He doesn't look like an NBA player with his physical stature. And he's elite. He's a triple-double threat every night. He's killing his opponents. He's the best center in the NBA. And with that said, congratulations to him.
And what about Durant? He's not a...
Oh, my goodness.
He was on fire yesterday. He was absolutely on fire. And his physique, to me, he's not a typical basketballer's physique. He's like Spider-Man. He's lanky. He's tall for a guard.
Yeah, he's close to 7 foot. He's about 6'10", 6'11". He handles it like a point guard. So he's pretty much like a 6'11" Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is about 6 foot. So the things that traditionally a typical point guard, as far as handling the basketball and moving around on the court, he can do those moves at 6'10", 6'11", which makes him impossible to guard. He's one of the game's most prolific scorers. He will go down in history as one of the greatest players to ever play the game. He has 2 championships under his belt, 2 finals MVPs under his belt with Golden State. But more important, I think him leaving Golden State after this Achilles injury, horrific Achilles injury, it would have been 3 straight, but coming off of that injury, he signed with the Brooklyn Nets, and that's where he's right now. And the goal is for him to see if he can lead a team to a championship post Golden State Warriors. And right now, they're 2-0 against Milwaukee Bucks.
And just look unstoppable. Their list is stacked. Harden has got the hamstring ripped off the bone. Is he done for the season?
Yeah, he'll be done. There's no way he can come back after that. If it's ripped off the bone, game over. You need too much time to heal. And with the offseason being shorter, because the NBA would start right back in October, you would want him to rest up and come back fully strengthened next season. So it's up to KD, Kyrie Irving, and the rest of the clan of the Brooklyn Nets. Blake has wound the clock back, and he's looking the good. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the futures market, they've got an absolute stranglehold. Mark, you took 275 Brooklyn last week. I think they're into about 220. You got the Jazz $4, the Clippers $5.50. We watched Phoenix yesterday in the office. They were impressive.
They were really impressive. Shout out to Chris Paul, another elite NBA player. He's had an incredible career, but he hasn't won a championship. So the only thing he has not done is win a championship. So that's the quest that he's on. He's an incredible leader. He's taken this young team with the superstars Ayton and Devin Booker to the number 1 or 2 seed in the West and leading them deep into the playoffs. They knocked off LeBron James, AD, and the Lakers, and that was just incredible in itself. They did that in 6 games. So that was impressive in itself. But just shout out to him. He led down the stretch. We watched the game, and when it was time to take over, the crafty veteran put the team on his back and got them over the line, and the lead opened up to 20 points. So shout out to him.
There's some really interesting away games coming up in the next couple of days, and let's get some odds on the screen courtesy of TopSport. We've got Suns $1.41 against Denver $2.96. The line there is a flat 6. The total's $2.22. Can Phoenix beat Denver away?
Yes, they can. They can. They're stacked. I think this is a team where we're going to see in this series Denver Nuggets missing Jamal Murray, who's their superstar, and this young man is definitely that. But it's unfortunate he's out towards ACL, and I think this is a series that they're going to struggle continuing playing the pace and putting a lot of the points up on the board compared to Phoenix.
Yeah.
I tell you what, thank God the playoffs are on, because lockdown has been
goodness.
tricky in Melbourne. How are you coping with it?
I'm very, very grateful that, 1, you guys live across the street from me, and 2, the games are on, the playoff games are on. Between NBA and NBL, I got shit going on every day.
Yeah. On Friday, there's an absolute cracker. The Bucks host the Nets, $1.62, $2.33. The line's 3.5, which, wow, that looks really skinny off what we saw the Nets do yesterday. The total's $2.35, so plenty of points expected there. No doubt we'll see you in the office on Friday morning watching this one. Can Brooklyn at $2.33 and 3.5, gee, they look a good bet against the Bucks.
That's a good bet. That's a bet that I would take. And I ain't even a betting man, but I would take that bet because I just saw offensively they're too deep. Defensively, they smothered Milwaukee. I just don't think, regardless of Milwaukee going home, that they will have. I haven't seen enough in 2 games of Milwaukee in Brooklyn to tell me that they're going to be able to get that win in Milwaukee, Game 3. I think the Nets take that win. Milwaukee will get Game 4, and then the Nets close it out Game 5.
So nice couple of value plays in the next couple of days. Now let's talk about the domestic league, NBL. You commentate the matches, very entertaining stuff there. And Melbourne United are favourites, $1.50. Your old team, well, you were the Tigers, and now they're Melbourne United. So there could be a little bit of allegiance there. But I do see you walking around with this Jack Jumpers jumper on a little bit too often for probably Mark's liking. Yeah. United $1.50 to win the title here. Perth are $3.60. South East Melbourne Phoenix $8.50. The Hawks are $18. Who wins it from here? Can they win without Bryce Cotton, Perth Wildcats, or are Melbourne United a good thing?
Look, Melbourne United is a lock. They're a lock. They're too deep, too experienced, and right now their hunger and desire has gone to a whole nother level due to the fact that Bryce Cotton is out for the Perth Wildcats. The Perth Wildcats, at their best, couldn't beat Melbourne United because they lack a player that can create off the dribble for themselves as well as everybody else. So Bryce Cotton is a guy you cannot replace with your current situation up there in Perth. So there's no way in hell they're going to win. No way, right? Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. You don't know who's showing up. I was with you in here yesterday, and I said to Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, they'll win. They will lock in third place, beating Brisbane yesterday, and they will play and beat Perth and meet Melbourne United in the grand finals. What happened? The wrong Southeast Melbourne Phoenix team showed up. They lose, and now they have to play against crosstown rivals, Melbourne United. They got to do it the hard way if they're going to do it. They got to play against the crosstown rivals to get to the grand final. So that's going to be a great matchup because they've beaten Melbourne United twice this year. Melbourne United, I think, beat them 3 times. So it's going to be a great matchup.
It's come a long way, hasn't it, the NBL, since you played? I think you were up at Townsville 2007, 2010, and you had another stint, I think it was about 2012 with the Tigers or the Melbourne United now. The game is evolved big time in Australia. LaMelo, we saw him go to Charlotte, and now this other guy, Tyler Harvey, he's a 27-year-old, he's a lefty, which, being an AFL man, I know how good left footers can, wrong foot their opposition. He's a hard matchup, Tyler Harvey. But can he get a second chance? Can he get a lifeline? Is this NBL product good enough for these players, more and more players, just to step back into the NBA?
I think Tyler Harvey will get a look in the NBA next year. He's that good.
Wow.
He's electrifying. He's no different to me than a Bryce Cotton. His usage rate is high as Bryce Cotton. I think he's third in the league in scoring. His team is in the top 4. When I look at it, for me, he's the most valuable player. And here's why. You take Bryce Cotton off of his team, that team would still make top 4, in my opinion. You take Tyler Harvey off of this Hawks team, Illawarra Hawks team, they wouldn't even be top 6 in a 9-team league. They're 7, 8, or 9. Dangadell they signed, who was a marquee player, didn't pan out. They released him. Cam Bairstow was the second marquee player, was injured, didn't even play half the year. Sam Froling, Brian Gorgon basically has a bunch of young, inexperienced talent. You have Justinian Jessup, who was drafted in the 2nd round by Golden State. He's a rookie fresh out of school. He has no pro experience. They have an import by the name of Justin Simon, who offensively doesn't give you anything, to be honest with you, unless it's transition. They have one player. Who is complete. And they rely on him night in and night out. And he's delivered night in and night out. And because of that, they are in the top 4. Not to mention the greatest coach of all time that has turned an offensive-minded unit into one of the best defensive teams in the league. Not only is Brian Gorgon Coach of the Year, that's the MVP of the league. And that's how I look at it. Bryce Cotton, for me, is the best import to ever play in this country.
Yeah, right.
My opinion. I'll explain why in a minute. But he's great. So he gets the LeBron treatment. How much greater can great be?
Yeah.
Right? He's great. It's normal. It's nothing new to me. Right? Okay. What I'm seeing Tyler Harvey do, no way in my mind I'll go past him for MVP of the league. He gets the LeBron treatment, Bryce. He's just great. That's just what it is. Victim of his greatness.
So what makes Melbourne United such a good bet now?
Oh, man. 1, there's no Bryce Cotton. 1. 2, that's the only man that could beat Melbourne United, Bryce Cotton, right? He's that great. 2, they are loaded and stacked at every position. They play well together, and they have players at each position that can create for themselves as well as others. So guess what? If the offense ain't working, give me the ball, watch me create some shit off the dribble for myself and others. The ability at multiple positions to break the defense down without offense. That's what makes a team that much more dangerous for me.
So what about, I've heard some other banter about you and Scotty Pendlebury. Is there any chance that Pendlebury or Pendlebury, you and him can go down to Hoop City and have this little of a shooting contest? Are you any closer to get the big clash off the ground? Because you reckon there's a lot of AFL players, or there'd be some AFL players, given how far NBL in Australia has progressed, there'd be a lot of kids sort of weighing up their futures now, wouldn't it? Whether they go down the NBL path, because it's all of a sudden it's a lot more appealing for scouts to find these NBL players. It's a different game now.
Definitely a different game. Shout out to Scott Pendlebury. He was a gun. Okay, he was one of the most talented young men in the country. He had a scholarship at AIS, the Australian Institute of Sport, for basketball. You can't get a scholarship there for any sport if you're not a gun, let alone basketball. And I had a conversation with him. I had an opportunity a couple of years ago to meet him, Nathan Buckley, and two associates I was with. We had lunch at Collingwood practice facility. And, we talked about him, his history with basketball and what made him make the decision to go to AFL, right? So if a gun that's a hooper doesn't see a future in the game of basketball and you have an opportunity to make six figures and play footy, what are you going to do?
Yeah, it's an easy pick.
Okay, so what if today Scott Pendlebury was that 17, 18-year-old kid? I guarantee you this, it would be a different conversation. Because if there was an outlet, he would have went to hoop. There's outlets now for that age. Enter Josh Giddey, who would be a top 10 pick in the NBA, right? Now, Aussies after Josh Giddey, knowing that he went this path and it worked out for him, these young kids after him are going to look at the sport different. Back in the day, and I even think now, there's AFL coaches and scouts at basketball under 16, under 18 basketball tournaments, recruiting basketball players to play AFL.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me because these kids, they know these kids don't have another outlet. We can basically steal the basketball talent and bring them to us. So what happens when, a potential big network deal comes, signs the NBL and get the rights, the viewing rights, and say, hey, Larry Kesselman, hey, NBL, here's $50 million. Now there's more money to play with.
Yeah, that's what you need.
Now, guess what? There'll be more opportunity. Salaries go up. Kids can now see, well, man, guess what? Okay, I can get paid a good salary as a rookie. And the salary in basketball versus the salary in footy wouldn't be that much different.
No.
I'm sticking with hoops.
Yeah.
And there you go. Then there starts to be a shift. So I'm not talking about a shift today, 10 years from now. That's how I'm looking at the situation. So if we put a poll out and ask AFL a secret poll where AFL players aren't naming their names, and they press this, if they had an opportunity today with NBL how it is today versus AFL, what would they pick?
Different choice.
Half those guys are hoopers anyway.
Yeah. No, there's plenty. Plenty of hoopers for sure. Yeah.
But I think a shootout would happen more than anything with Pendlebury and I. But the one-on-one would be against Nick Kyrgios and Pendlebury.
We'll have to get that up.
We'll be there down there for the footage,
Hoop City.
Yeah.
Shout out to Hoop City. That facility is incredible. That facility is incredible.
Yeah, we'll be down there later on when, probably your season next year when it gets going.
Yeah, that's what's up.
We've got to go rest the great man for 2 months. He says he's tired after the finals, so he's got to go and travel for a couple of months. But we're looking forward to having him back in our facility from October onwards. We'll have details later down the track. But
man, let's do it big. That's the only way to do it.
Yeah, but he's keen. He's keen to make Hoop City part of his home, and lucky we've got a bit of a connection down at Hoop City. So
that facility is official. I went down there and saw it myself. I didn't feel like I was in Australia. I felt like that was a legitimate NBA practice facility. You got the weight room upstairs, that's state of the art. Downstairs, you got the full court. You got the shooting guns.
Yeah.
There's an app that that records you and it shows your trajectory. And the shit was official. And there's obviously 3x3 is an Olympic sport, and that's why I'm going to the Olympics to commentate 3x3. and shout out FIBA 3x3. The court is FIBA sanctioned, and they have the national team, women's 3x3 Aussie national team. That's their official training facility. So shout out to Hoop City. That's sick. That facility is sick.
We're going to get. We'll take a trip down there and we'll put it on our new website. So we'll get test how good Homicide is down there. We might get a few of his mates, including Pendlebury, as he's known now in the basketball world. Check out Hoop City if you're a baller, for sure. You know, it is a great facility, as Homicide said, and I think there's more coming in Australia to be built in the future. So that'll be good. So we'll get some footage on our website of it, and that's going to be the home of any future competitions that Little Birdie has down there.
That's what's up.
I've been fortunate enough to watch a couple of games with Corey, and he's around the money. He's not a punter, but he's steered us into a couple of winners. So Melbourne United, they look like they got the rub of the green with injury to Cotton, and the Brooklyn Nets, they're absolutely stacked. You saw it yesterday. Durant is just absolutely airborne. Don't worry about Harden injured, and make sure you have a little bit of a speculator on the Suns away, the Suns are at home, and the Brooklyn Nets in the next couple of days. So we'll get more NBA and NBL updates with Homicide in the next couple of weeks. It's getting us through lockdown. It's been a tough couple of weeks in Melbourne, but luckily we've got the basketball and some great betting this weekend. I think that's a big show from us. It's a wrap. One more from Marcos.
Yeah, we just got some actual breaking news. I feel like a bit of one of your mates are reporters here, getting down the AFL. We're just getting word through that Nathan Buckley has stepped down for the coach of Collingwood.
Wow. Off a win.
Effectively, he will step down on Monday, I'm told. Robert Harvey's going to coach the rest of the season. We're recording this show now in the early morning of Wednesday.
10 o'clock. Bucks is gone.
Collingwood will be holding a press conference in the next 15 minutes to half an hour. By the time you see the show, it'll already be out there. But yeah, big news. So the poll we spoke about earlier for the AFL of which coach will fall. Collingwood has thrown the first stone, I guess. Buckley to step down for Collingwood. And
huge.
More to come.
Fantastic stuff. All right, hopefully there's a couple of winners in the show for you. Enjoy Origin tonight. Make sure you check us out on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and our YouTube channel, Little Birdie TV. Big thanks to Homicide for stepping in. He just got out of bed, rolled out of bed, come across the street, and no doubt we'll be watching plenty of hoops with you in the next couple of days. But good luck on the punt, and a big thanks to our presenting sponsors, puntingform.com.au and TopSport, and gamble responsibly. Thanks, guys.